This is an exciting panel, and I'm glad you're with us because we have four wonderful people to talk to about independent publishing, and they each come from a very different dimension, if you will. Very interesting mix of people and places and the issues and the challenges, and sometimes you'll go, my gosh, that's exactly what we're up against, and other times you'll go, I never even thought of that. It's a fascinating thing to hear the differences from good independent publishers from different parts of the world, and so that's what we're going to be doing here. We have Tom Kraushaar from Klett-Cotta right here in Stuttgart, not right here, but very nearby us in Stuttgart. Sharky Chen has joined us from Taiwan, and his is a very interesting form of independent publishing that he's going to tell you about. Sevani Matos from Brazil. Not only a publisher herself, but she's also the head of the association. She works very hard in many ways in Brazil, and the whole Brazilian market is really rising thanks to the work of her and several people in the group with her. The Rio and the Sao Paulo fairs are just going through the roof right now. It's exciting times for them. Great professional programs if you're interested. And then we have Otieno, Polycarp, who is from Kenya, and he has stepped in late for us because we had one of his colleagues, Melissa, who was going to be with us, talking about a company there called Soul Kids. This is children's independent publishing. Excuse me. And she was unable to get her visa situation worked out. Otieno is actually going to be here, and he works with her, and he said he would come and talk to us. So this is great because we're able to maintain that house that we thought we weren't going to be able to hear from, as a matter of fact. So this is a great group, and I'm excited to go one by one and let each of them fill you in a little bit on what they're doing, what their company does, how they do it, what they think is coming, what the issues are. Mainly in this forum, we like to talk about the negatives as well as the positives because we're all here as business people and we want to know the challenges. So you're going to hear about the kind of challenges that these houses are facing. As I say, some will be the same, some will be different. Tom, will you start us off with Klett-Cotta, which has been having a lot of award attention lately, I think, which is quite good.
Well, we didn't get the the award.
Hey, you were nominated.
Yeah. So that was fun till the moment when we realized that somebody else would get the award, and I had to drink a lot with my author afterwards.
I know you hated that part, didn't you, Tom?
Not for the best reasons to drink.
Right,
so
exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly.
But that was on Monday, so I'm okay today.
We'll be the judge of that, Tom.
Yeah. So well, I mean, should I introduce a little bit about the publishing house in general?
Yeah.
Okay. So Klett-Cotta is actually a very old publishing house, like nearly 400 years old. It used to be the most important publisher in the 18th and 19th centuries.
And still is, I'm sure, Tom, the most important publisher.
Thank you. You said that. I think...
You can quote me on this. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Don't tell Nihar.
And we are still doing a lot of fiction, a lot of non-fiction. We have a fantasy imprint where we publish, for example, Tolkien and a lot of important high fantasy stuff. We have an imprint, Tropen, which used to be my own publishing house. So I personally was a very, very indie publisher, very small indie publisher before I moved to Klett-Cotta, and where I became publisher, and I'm now also a shareholder, so I own 25% of the company, which is connected to the Klett family, which is a very old, like, traditional book and publishers family. So and talking about the challenges, problems, and chances of independent publishing, I would say, like, I think last year when we sat here and discussed this topic, I pointed out the importance of collaboration between indie publishers, because you need scale, you need a certain amount of turnover, you need part of the market you are working in to be also agile, to move on, to do things. And since you are indie and smaller than the huge corporate groups, it makes a lot of sense to create scale by cooperation with people you like. I think it's a lot about the personal relation, and this is what we did. And I see Michael Reynolds sitting in the audience, who was one of the, he was actually, who invited me a couple of years, like 10 years ago, I don't know, it's a long time
That
ago,
long ago.
to the Tree Book Festival in Italy, which was like 10 publishers or 15, I don't know, independent publishers invited something about like 100 booksellers to a hotel, and I was just there for a panel like here, but I saw this and it was very interesting. The atmosphere was very good, so we copied it, and this is how we created a group of independent publishers in Germany who are now collaborating in many, many ways. We shared stands at the book fair during the bad COVID book fair years, and did a lot of stuff together. So I still think this is...
You're working with some other countries too, right? I mean, there's our Dutch friend who came in when we were in the studio last time.
Yeah.
She was terrific. I mean, there's several of the independents you brought in from other nations as well.
Yeah, this is something else we do. We have this... we try to create an international network of indie publishers, or it's also corporate publishing, to learn from each other. And this is not about cooperation or collaboration. It's more about like learning from each other, which this is why I shouldn't talk too much, because I want to listen more today. But this is something which this year, especially in London, was super interesting to me, also to listen to very small publishers, new publishers who didn't have the whole tradition, the whole long tail of the structures, who can build something up now out of nothing. And you do a lot of things better, faster, more clever, only because you don't have to have the structure, and you don't need to change everything. Right. So my perspective goes much more to the smaller publishers, to learn from them, and I find it super inspiring in terms of production of the books, and terms of publication, and a lot of interesting details. So I think when I talk to my mid-sized indie publishing friends, or also corporate publishers, I say, look at the smallest, newest publishers. They have the best ideas at the moment. So.
And I look at Klett-Cotta as a kind of favor in favor, because you have so much established clout here. And so I'm going to say something that you might want to just tell me I'm totally wrong about, but it seems to me that you probably have an easier route to market, because there is visibility to your house. There is a name recognition to Klett-Cotta in the German market, whereas for so many independents, there isn't that advantage, right?
Absolutely, but I also, in my experience as a garage style super indie publisher, I have to say, prestige and a name is the easiest to make. I would always say, because if you do stuff which nobody else does, you can be interesting, spectacular, easier than successful, and it's the first step to do so. So. But of course, there are the booksellers who need a certain trust or in the program of a publishing house. So of course it helps, and I think it's very important to think about a profile and the character, personality of a publishing house. Many people think this is bullshit. It's an edition of books you do, and that's not true. It's so important. Also for the idea of the people who work in a publishing house, that they understand what is the personality of the place where I'm working. I think this is also to make better work and being more productive, if you understand what the company is you are working for.
Right. I think that personality thing is one of the most fascinating parts of independent publishing to me, because you are almost an auteur. If you are running one of these houses, you can choose, you can make a model of what you think is important in literature, and try to produce it, as long as the market cooperates, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think a lot of people who are in more corporate settings in publishing probably envy this quite a bit, because they're dealing with God knows what, layers and layers and layers of choice and selection and whatnot, whereas you can just say, but I actually like that author, we're going to try this. Yeah.
There was this guy from Beck Verlag who just got retired, and he was a very important, great editor for a long time, non-fiction editor, and he said, my work was written by other people. So as an editor, that is something I really liked to. You only can say this at the end of your career,
Right.
but actually I liked it very much. So.
Yeah, that's a lovely saying, actually, by other people. Almost like other people's money, but it's other people's work. Yeah, it's very clever. Thank you for getting us started here. This is a great introduction to everything we're talking about. And you have to follow Klett-Cotta. Their work, I love it because it's serious. There's so much wonderful, interesting material to read. I'm not the entertainment type, so I really like seeing. I want to sit forward and be tense, not sit back and relax, right? So this is great stuff that's coming out of Klett-Cotta. It's fascinating. Now, it's really interesting that we're turning to Sharky at this point because as you talk about the younger, newer, fresher, right out of nowhere forms of independent publishing, to our culture, Sharky is doing just that. Tell us what this is, Sharky. And this is in Taipei, and there are more of you. There's several of you doing this kind of, what do you call it, one-person publishing? Do you have another mic? There you are. There you go. Okay. That's the Penguin Random House mic there. It's going to rocket you to stardom. It'll turn on. Where did Marcus go, our guy?
No, it's not on.
Oh, have Tom's then. There we go.
Hello. Hi. I'm Sharky Chen. I'm from Taiwan, and I represent Kama Books.
Yes.
And, Kama Books is a little tiny publisher. I'm the one-man company. And I started Kama Books 13 years ago as a gift for my 30th birthday. And I regret it. I regret it like a month later.
And at 43, you really regret it, right?
At 43, I think I've been through hell, and now I'm back. I'm back to the ground again and ready to kick it.
So this is the way not to do independent publishing. I told you we'd talk about challenges,
Yeah.
right?
Speaking of indie publishers in Taiwan, like 50% of the publishers are less than 5 people.
Wow.
So actually, we're really indie. And there are so many publishers are just like me, who are run by one person. I think Tom has made a really good point, because collaboration is really, really important. So after 5 years of struggling in the book industry, I started a association with my friends. So we made a Indie Publishers Association in Taiwan. And the members so far, let me see how many, like 40 members in the association, and we share information.
Are they all one person?
Some of them are like 2 or 3.
Ah, big.
Yeah, so they are the VIP because. Yeah. So with that association, we can do a lot of things together. And I think the most useful part is that we can exchange informations about printers or designers, or if we have any problems making books, then we know who to find. So collaboration is really important. And in Taiwan, I think we really get used to it. So now we're trying to form international collaboration. So I just got back from Korea. I was invited to a indie book fair, and all the really young people, and they will make their own stuff. They will make their zines. They will make their posters and stuff. And at that time, I thought, okay, so I'm no longer that young. Compared to their works, I know that there's a difference.
Yeah.
But I'm glad, because I get to learn and get to know things. Yeah. So speaking of the challenge of indie publishers in Taiwan, it would be it's really difficult to say it, but to tell the truth, the media in Taiwan, the newspapers, the magazines, they love to tell the audience and readers that the book industry is coming to an end. And sometimes you will hear things like, the book sales has encountered a landslide, that kind of thing, or like ice storm just hit the book industry, something like that. But to tell the truth, I mean, the bookstores are closing. Yesterday, the jet lag hit me real hard. So I was laying in the hotel bed, and I was checking the news, and I saw, oh, there's a bookstore of 35 year of history is coming to an end. It's closing in November. And then I realized, okay, we're not talking about things. It's really happening. And so we were worried about that. How do I put it? Indie bookstores and Chen bookstores are facing great challenges. And if they cannot sell books well, we're gonna have problems, right? So a lot of people said that we depend on the social media too much. For example, like during when Facebook launched the fan page service, I thought it was in about 2013 or 14, I guess. And at that time, I used the service, and then my sales go up. A lot of people know our brand, and the book sales really good. But then we put more and more resource into Facebook or Instagram, and then things started to change. The more you advertise on it, the less you can sell. So we were kidnapped by algorithm. And in order to change it, we started to use something not that vintage, but to some people it's vintage. Like we will form a face-to-face book club. We will we will start sending newsletters again. Yeah. And then we will do things like special stuff for the indie bookstores. We will prepare some like signed copies for them, and only or some special events for them, and trying to make sure that they will bring the message to their customers.
So these are more traditional ways of reaching. Yeah.
But I'm not saying that what I'm trying to say is that I think it's really important to strike a balance between the old-fashioned ways and the way we use social media. I mean, if we can strike a perfect balance, then we can save a lot of energy and time, and we can reach more people. Yeah.
I think that's very wise in a lot of the markets right now. TikTok and Book Talk have been so popular, and everybody got very excited, just like they did about the booktubers for a while. You don't hear about the booktubers very much anymore, and we're actually thinking that we're now seeing a loss of velocity in the TikTok world, in the Book Talk world. This may get much worse, too, if there are more governments that decide they can't have TikTok available. But even where it's fully available and fully used, it does seem that a lot of these social media approaches have a very strong burst at the beginning, and it might ride for years, but then it is going to start coming down. And you're right. If you put all your eggs into that one basket, as we say, then this could be a problem. Exactly. But how interesting that you're going back to more traditional methods of reaching people.
Oh, there's a member of our association. They publish a major writer, Wu Mingyi. He's famous in Taiwan. So they use a really interesting strategy. So they invited all the indie bookstores in Taiwan to pre-order the copies. And if you pre-order the copy, you will get a chance to invite the author to their shop. And it's only for indie bookstores.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, online bookstores will, they will say, hey, we want to sell the book too. And they say, okay, you can sell the signed copies, but you cannot make a discount.
Interesting.
No discount in online bookstores. So I think it strike a balance, so that, because people go to online bookstores to buy stuff because it's cheaper.
Right.
But sometimes if you value the price and then the value itself goes down. So it would be a perfect way, to collaborate with traditional indie bookstores, and also, you give them stuff to sell
Yeah.
in online bookstores.
And lastly, before we talk to Sevani for a minute, tell me what kind of books are you making? What do you publish?
Oh, I publish poetry and
Only poetry?
well, poetry, actually, literature.
Uh-huh.
I would say
Okay.
literature.
Right.
Yeah, but in the beginning, I published poetries, and people call me crazy. Especially the people in the book industry. They say nobody reads poem collections. Why are you really rich? Did you just win the lottery? I said no. I tried. But I use a lot of because I don't have a lot of resource.
Right.
So I try to use creativity, and I think curation really helps in communicating with readers. So some of the poem collections can sell more than 5,000 copies. So I think it's really good in Taiwan, because Taiwan is a little country, So and also with curation, and we can do a lot of things. Like sometimes for example, when Me Too, is when Me Too the issue goes viral, and then I know how to put different titles together, and then show them to the readers, and make little curation stuff. They look really cool in the bookstore, and they would be happy. And and the customer can get very happy, because they can take the picture and show them on their Instagram. So I think this is what I do. I try to promote, or I would not say promote, I would say communicate. I would love to communicate with my readers through curation. And I try to talk to them, and sometimes they don't talk to me, it's fine, but I have to keep trying.
That's nice. I love that. Communicating through curation. That's great. We need more of that, actually. That's great. Thank you, Sharky. This is really fascinating. Now, Sevani, Brazil is a totally different situation, entirely different market. One that just started. Are you based in Sao Paulo? You are, yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fascinating situation they had. We were speaking with Nihar about problems in terms of selling out of various markets, and this happened in the educational space. The state government of Sao Paulo decided it was going to make all the textbooks and take them away from the publishers. Number one, that really messes up your livelihood, right? And number two, it wasn't good material. I mean, the state doesn't know how to do textbooks, but it was one of these instances. And they went to court and won.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this did not happen, and the state was turned around and now has to go back to the proper way of doing things. So it was a great victory.
Yes, it was. It was a fight.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Karini Panza told me about this.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Brazil is a big country. We have geography is huge to sell books to all the country. Let me tell first. I work at VR Editor in Brazil. VR is an Argentinian publishing house. The headquarters is in Buenos Aires, and we have an office in Mexico City, in Barcelona, and in Brazil, São Paulo city, and we are the only one that publishes in Portuguese. So in Portuguese in all Latin America. So we sell to Brazil. The contract rights are done only for Brazil territory, because if you Portugal, Mozambique, and other countries that speaks Portuguese, it's out of our contracts. We only publish in Brazil. So we have to do a lot of efforts to sell in our territory. We can't sell out. Of course, we sell rights of our Brazilian authors. This is a different, okay? And we have in Brazil about 500,000 cities. And we have only 3,000 bookstores.
Wow, man.
So about 40% of our cities, there is no only one bookstores. And the libraries. So this is a problem. And
But it does mean libraries are very important to you, right? Yeah.
yeah, it's very important. Mainly for the government purchases. To explain, Brazilian government is the biggest buyer of books for the schools. About 50% of the didactic educational books are bought by the government. And then this really works. It's a very good program. It's about 8 years, 8 decades that they distribute books for the public schools. And it works very well. And the government pays the editors. Yeah,
And
it works.
is part of your output then in textbooks, in educational material?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
okay.
books for libraries
Right,
too.
right.
And for extra classes, literature, poetry, and so on. And then we have other programs that buy books in the states and the small cities. That helps a lot the editors. But talking about as an editor, a publishing house, we sell gift books, children books, YA books, and non-fiction, fiction and non-fiction. So we publish it for all the country, and the main challenge of the last years was the closure of the major bookstores in Brazil. You know that Saraiva, it was more than 100 bookstores, and Livraria Cultura, about 30 bookstores.
These were the big chains, yeah.
This is a challenge because we don't have a lot of bookstores in the country, and then they close.
How much online sale of physical books is there?
For this bookstores?
For your material? Can you make up anything that you've lost in bookstores through online sales?
To online sales, yeah.
Yeah.
And Saraiva had a very important online site to sales, and they stop it. And then now we have Amazon as the biggest. Yeah. And most of the editors has their own online sales. So we do pre-order, like my friend said. Yeah, it's important. And we work a lot with social media. This is very important. So social media in Brazil, that children and teenagers and adults, they love social media in Brazil. So it works a lot, like Instagram and TikTok. Right. Yeah. Right. Then we do a lot of efforts in marketing and contents for social media. And also we expanded our catalogs to include more works by Brazilian authors. This is very important. As I said, we speak Portuguese in Latin America, so this is so important. And what is very important is the local book fairs, small book fairs. We at CBL, I'm the president of Brazilian Book Chambers, we support the cities that needs to be your first book fair in the city. This is super important to increase the business for all the editors, mailing the small editors that can sell your books for these faraway cities.
So these are public-facing book fairs.
Yes,
that bring in consumers. We see this in many parts of the world.
Yes.
They become huge revenue centers for these publishers.
Yes.
Even if they're just once a year, that's where most of the books go.
Mainly after pandemic,
Yeah.
people are going to in-person fairs. So we have problems, of course, the bookstores closing. We have a piracy. It's running, yeah, free online. And then when you can broke a link, another one goes down, goes up, and then it's a huge work. The piracy in Brazil is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. So we have been working a lot to help and to improve independent authors, as our project here in Frankfurt and the book fairs in London, Bologna, Brazilian Publishers is a project that helps editors to sell rights to abroad. So we work a lot in 7 fairs in the world every year. Yeah.
Do you have the support of law enforcement in trying to fight the piracy problem? Are they helping you? Because often you don't get much help.
No.
Yeah.
This this has been an effort of the authors of CBL
Right.
and other institutions.
Because
Not yet.
the law side is just not there yet, is it?
Yes.
I know. You see this in a lot of places. This is great. Thank you for that introduction. This is very nice, Sevani. Now, Otieno, talk to us about Soul Kids. Is it based in Nairobi?
It is based in Nairobi, yes.
So it's in the city.
Yeah.
And how old is it? How long has it been around?
We're quite young, so we're just 3 years old. As old as my son, who was actually the main inspiration to start.
I was going to say, you decided you needed books for the kid, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So when we got pregnant, I want to say we, my wife and I, and as a man, you really think what you're going to plan for this kid. I mean, as a mother, of course, as well. But I'm talking from my perspective. It's just trying to see, what I'm going to feed this kid in terms of the content, the information, as a young African child. And there wasn't enough content. There still isn't enough Pan-African content by African people for Africans. And being in the position that I am, so I am a musician, as you can see how I've dressed. A member of the biggest band out of Africa called Sauti Soul.
Yeah. And if I said the phrase "fancy fingers," would
Yes.
that be you?
That's me. My stage name is Fancy Fingers. I'm a guitarist, by profession, and being in the industry, in the entertainment industry for 15 years, is it? It's been 15 years,
Wow.
And we felt like there was a need now because we're cementing our legacy, and there's a need to now also reach out to the younger audience, the younger adults, and create content for them. Being in the position that we are, we felt that we had the influence and the power to do that. And yes,
We is you and Melissa Waku.
so me being me and the rest of the band. So we are 4 of us, and Melissa Wahu, who was supposed to be here, that you
Right.
mentioned earlier,
Right.
but she couldn't make it. So I'm here to
So
represent.
this actually came out of the band.
It did come out of the band.
Now that's
and
not normal, I mean,
is it?
not a lot of publishing houses are coming out of bands.
Oh yeah. It's pretty unique, to be honest, and we're proud of what we are doing. And Melissa came into the company, so she's our fifth member, I guess.
Does she sing in the
this
band?
regard. Thank God, no.
We won't.
I know
tell her
she'll
you
see
said
this video. We won't tell her. So that's when it started 3 years ago. And we've so far published, so Melissa came in with books that she's already written. So she's a certified author. And I came in with 3 other titles that have been published. So we have a total of 13 published titles across different languages. So there's English, Swahili, French, Kenya, Rwanda. And the idea is to really spread out the books in all different languages from across the continent. Because as you know, Africa has, like in just Kenya, we have 44 tribes. In Kenya, 44 languages. So with all the countries put together, those are many, many languages. So of course there's official languages like English, Swahili, but then every different tribe speak their own language, and it's important, we feel, to write the books in the languages that they understand. Yeah.
Do you use translators then who are coming
Yes,
from
we
each tribe
do.
to turn them into the right language for you?
Yes, we do use translators. Yeah, and we're in the process. As I said, there's so many languages to cut across, but it's exciting at the same time. Yeah, and it's been really great, and I mean it's been also awesome hearing all these different perspectives from all over the continent. Actually, this is across the whole world, not continent, the whole world. And I'd say there's some things that I relate to. So when you mention collaboration, for us that's also key, because being 3 years in the industry, we've really wanted to collaborate with as many different indie publishers as possible, and just anyone within the the world of creating content for kids, because that's what we are concentrating on. So let's say now we have a collaboration with the Kenya National Library, and with that we also have one with the Kenya National Museums, which we do research with them. So they have a lot of information, stored information about our culture that we need to now translate that into books. And I must say, our culture as Africans, we usually tell stories orally, or that's what we've always done over the years. So now it's getting to a time when we realize we've been telling these stories to ourselves, to our own African people, but then it got to a point where our stories are being told by others. So we needed to take now what is ours and say we need to now publish these stories so the world can see us the way we see ourselves.
And this has to do with preserving some of these languages too, right? Because
exactly.
Some of them disappearing if you don't get something in these languages, because it's all oral unless you do.
Exactly, the languages and the culture as well.
Right.
And especially now with a lot of infiltration of different cultures into Africa, we're having now the younger generation losing culture and identity. And I think we're the youngest continent. About 40% is 15 years and younger. So that's a huge percentage. And if we do not get them now, that's the foundation. If we do not capture them now, then we're going to lose them. So we need them to know exactly what they're about, what their culture is, what their identity is. And as I said, being in the position that we are as a band, we feel like we have, at least the influence to have the younger people listen to us and capture this.
And this is a very weighty mission. I mean, you're actually really working the culture at this point.
Yeah.
Are there other independent houses around you who are doing the same thing, or are you pretty unique?
Yes, there are. I must say it's because we have a name already, kind of like what Tom's company has. But then, yes, there are many. Once we got into that world, that's when you realize we're like, oh my goodness, there's so many of these young publishers who really are putting out content. And I'd say the big publishing companies, at least in Kenya, are really concentrating on only academic books.
Yeah, we see that.
And the academic books are not, they're great for what they are, but, there's some edutainment that you need the kids to have that's not too formal, I'd say, or too proper, So that's why we came up with Soul Kids. Yeah,
I know at the Nairobi Book Fair, one of our writers was there, and she found that was just the point of discussion.
Oh, yeah, was it? Yeah.
Basically, the question for so many publishers in many parts of Africa is, how do we get past textbooks and start doing some commercial work, start doing fiction, for heaven's sake?
Yeah.
Because there's almost just no tradition of creating it and selling it, so there's no market for it. If it's being bought, it's usually coming in from another country.
Exactly,
like USA.
Yeah, and has no, African culture in it. Of course, sorry to say that, but we need to, I feel the kids need to see people that they can relate to, that they see every day in their lives. And for that, we need to create content that they, that they see, as I said, every day in their lives, that they can relate to,
This is fantastic. Tell me again, how many titles do you put out each year? Does Soul Kids do?
Do we really have a pattern? I'd say we have, the past 3 years, as I said, it's been 13 books. Mm-hmm. So Melissa, who's our co-founder, came in with a majority of those books already and published. She was already actually, that was a form of collaboration because she was an indie publisher by herself
Right.
before.
But she's
join
not
us.
writing them. She's bringing them.
She's writing them as well. She
She's
wrote
writing
them
as well.
She wrote them.
'Cause you're
She's
an
an
author as
author.
well.
I'm an author as well. Yes.
Right.
So we actually collaborated on the book. So this is one of them that I carried right here. So that's me and my son.
Love this. May I
yeah,
just say,
this
in the
is
world of
authored-
diversity, guy book here.
Yeah. yes.
Yep, good to
And and this is actually around fatherhood and African fatherhood and just fathers being present in their kids' lives.
Looks great.
So Melissa is an author as well, and we collaborate together with her. So it's been 13 books now across different languages. Yeah.
Speaking of diversity, when you work in those areas, is there the same kind of need for girls and women's books?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely. Yeah, and we're also working on that. So we're trying to be as diverse as possible.
Right.
So we're working on a project called Dada Project. Dada in Swahili means sister. So that's something that we're working on right now. So we're working across all kinds of different topics, I'd say.
Yeah.
So I'm on fatherhood. There's a Dada Project. There's one on inclusivity as well. It's just everything. Yeah,
You guys are busy.
we are. We really are. But
And you're
we
playing concerts.
Yes. Actually, I was telling my agent there, Jason, that I was on a European tour, and the last city that I played was actually here
Wow.
in Frankfurt, like a month ago. So I'm back here again.
Incredible. You just are stuck in Frankfurt now, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess.
That's Jason Bartholomew. From London.
Yeah.
We're referring to there, taking the pictures over there.
Yeah.
Good. So we've got a few minutes left here. And in that time, does somebody have some questions for any of our independent publishers here? Great. Thank you, Michael.
You've all in different ways spoken about collaboration between independent publishers in your specific markets, principally, or the connections, the affinities with other independent publishers. I'm curious to know whether you think there's any rationale or any reason or any possibility for collaboration between independent publishers across markets, internationally, apart from rights fairs, apart from the kind of trading that we're doing at fairs like this. Are there other things that we can be doing together, and is there any real benefit from those kinds of collaborations?
That's a great question. Yeah. This is a great publisher, too, by the way, who's asking it. Yeah, you know whereof you speak. What do you guys think? Can more international
Well, this is a
collaboration happen?
I think about this question for a long time, because it would be fun to collaborate with international publishers. But I have to say, as far as I know, I haven't found any really good idea of. Because when you see the corporate publishers like HarperCollins, who now create publishers all over the world, in Brazil, and they rearrange their rights where they can, so they put the books they sold to other publishers away and put them to their new founded imprints. This is not only. I'm not even sure if that works for HarperCollins, and it destroys somehow, or it started to destroy, like a free market of international rights selling. So, because the first thing you think about is like, let's share, like Fitzcarraldo does in UK now with their prize they created for a book for literature, and they have 2 or 3 other publishers who are always publishing the book, and there were always stuff like that, but it never worked for a longer time as far as I know. So it's all about exchange, because this is more interesting. It's not the core of what I think of collaboration, but I think even because markets are different, you can learn so much, because this is why you have new impressions because UK don't have fixed prices, so you have a different pressure on the books. So we see that they are faster by moving. They need to be faster. So we can, if you look at UK, we can do stuff earlier and lose less money because we can react earlier. So this is something I think should be. We should talk more about what is good publishing between so what is really good publishing, what are good ideas. Not talking only about the books we want to sell or buy from each other. So, but I have to say I'm still looking for a real way of synergetic, rational, as you say, collaboration.
I think one aspect of this that's interesting is that in so many of these cases, we're talking about Taipei, we're talking about Brazil, we're talking about Africa and African languages. It would be really interesting to think what kind of cross-cultural work could be done in what we normally think of as very localized work, you know? I mean, I know nothing about Taipei poetry, you know? And Brazilian Portuguese, my heavens, you know, it's very hard for us to get our heads around, right? Then we look at African work that's working in small languages within Africa, not even one of the big, not Swahili, you know, but something very tiny. It really gets interesting because there should be some level of diaspora out there too.
Yeah.
So there should be some audience out there that knows some of these smaller languages. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You want? I don't know what the answer is to your question, but I love the question. Yeah, please, absolutely. You got a mic?
Because now I'm working on a project. I'm a big fan of K-pop.
Yeah.
I don't understand the language, but when I work, I have to listen to Blackpink. There must be something wrong with me. But but today I know a new music choice. You know, yeah. So
Yeah.
So anyways, I got interested in Korea, so I decided to learn more about the publishers in Korea. So this year, after the Seoul Book Fair, I formed a team along with me, which include me and a cameraman and a reporter. So the three of us, we went to Korea and interviewed 10 of the indie publishers there. So we went directly into their office, you know, and I was looking around like, "Hey, so what is this for? Oh, this souvenir looks so cool. It's expensive," and I would see a lot of like photographs or posters, and I would ask a lot of questions about that, and then they will have the same questions for me. So just like what Tom said, we have to learn from each other. And after we get to know each other, and then we will do more things together. For example, one of the publishers started a indie book fair, which just happened last weekend. So they invited me to have a booth. And to tell the truth, it is so difficult to sell Mandarin books in Korea. So and then but it's a really good opportunity, and I also get to learn how things work in a different country. So I talked to the publisher, and we're working on something different. Maybe we will rearrange the book fair in Taiwan, or we will have some like this, to make it happen in Korea or in Taiwan. So I think. Speaking of collaboration, it's all about sharing. You have to share the information that you may consider really, really cherishable. Yeah, but only when you give them the gift, they will give you the gift.
Who was the film for that you made? Who was the end user for that? For you or other independent publishers?
Oh, you mean the booth?
You said you made a video.
Oh, the cameraman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we will take a lot of photographs, and we also make some vlogs. Yeah, it's for promotional. Yeah, but in the book there will be the photographs and the article. Yes.
Yeah. Very interesting. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I love this whole idea, this sort of cultural collaboration through independent publishing. It's fascinating. I think there's, yes, please say something quickly, but yes.
Yeah, quickly, very quickly.
We're coming, Aaron.
What is important in all countries is the fixed price law. We are working hard in Brazil to approve the fixed price law, like in France, La Langue. All the numbers, if you see surveys, when you have the fixed price law, the sales goes up. And this protects the authors' rights, the publishing houses, and mailing the bookstores. And then we are working hard to approve in Brazil the fixed price law.
I want to thank all of you. You've been terrific. It's great to have you all with us. Thank you for this.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for coming. And don't think of getting out of your seats because my colleague Erin is coming up and she's going to lead the next session here. So thank you for coming to the forum today. We appreciate it. Come back often. We're here all week. Take good care.